Hey Miguel, how's it going?
I'm good. And yourself?
Pretty good, thanks. So over the past few lessons, we've been talking a lot about practicing scales. We've been talking about chords, how to construct chords, the way they function. So this has all led to our first uh, beginning improv lesson. So I'm gonna give you some information that's gonna help you learn how to improvise. Um,
Awesome.
So let me show you my PowerPoint here. So what we're gonna be hearing is this jazz chart called Blue Boston. So what we're gonna be talking about today is a couple things. We're gonna be talking about 2-5-1 patterns, and I'll explain what that is. We're gonna be talking about melodic patterns, rhythmic patterns, and this tune that you hear here. All right, here we go. So let's start off with some vocabulary. So if we consider jazz to be a language, we would say that improvisation is like a dialect of jazz. As jazz musicians, our objective is to learn to speak this language through our instruments with the fluency of a great storyteller, using emotion, energy, and creativity. So we want to be able to communicate and express what we want to say too, right? Just like in language. So when we're learning a language, we begin with basic words, like when you were a baby, right? Or do you have any younger siblings, nieces, nephews, or cousins?
Yeah, definitely.
And what are some of the basic things that they say?
Well,
Let's
when they
say,
start off, they just start with noises and then
yeah,
they start with ma,
uh huh.
dad,
They
stuff like
start,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So when we learn improvisation, or when we're beginning with our instrument, you remember what you sounded like when you first picked it up, right? So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
kind of like noise. So that's what babies start making, and until they hear words over and over, and then they start trying them. So that's what this is going to be like. So as our vocabulary expands, we learn to communicate more complex ideas, and that's what we begin doing as humans too. A similar process can be applied when we're learning the language of jazz. So, like in language, we don't think about single words, right?
Mm,
We think about them as phrases. We put words
right.
together to make phrases. So, in jazz improv, we do the same thing. And one of the most basic and frequently used phrases is called the 2-5-1. So the 2-5-1 is a pattern of chords called the chord progression based on the modal scale. So the scale we're going to be working with here today is the C harmonic minor scale.
It's your harmonic
So
minor.
we've been covering major and minor scales. Why don't we play the C harmonic minor scale? I'll play it first so we can get
Okay.
an idea of what it sounds like and what notes there are. So you'll notice that C harmonic minor, the relative key is E flat major.
Right.
But since it's the harmonic minor scale, we're going to raise that seventh. We're going to play B natural instead of B flat. So let's start in low C and play 2 octaves. I'm just going to play quarter notes for you.
Sure.
Give that a try. Very good. So all the notes that you played become a fundamental for a chord, as you see here. And we're only going to be using 3 of those chords. We're going to be using the second chord, which is D half diminished 7. We're going to be using the fifth one, which is called G dominant 7, and the first one, which is our C minor. And this little triangle here indicates that the 7 is raised, so that B
Okay.
is going to be B natural instead of B flat. So you might notice in some charts that the 2-5-1 progression sometimes functions as a turnaround. So that's a term that we use in jazz, meaning the tension and resolution of that progression helps us lead into a new section of the song or a new key center. And sometimes this turnaround leads you back to the head That's another term that we use for the beginning of a chart. So let me show you what this sounds like, this progression, in C harmonic minor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play the roots of each chord. So that should give you an idea of what the progression sounds like. And
Yes.
All these songs are based off just different types of progressions. So that's what this specific progression is called, a 2-5-1. All right. So continuing on, if we continue to use the same analogy of language, if we compare words to chords, the letters that make up the words are going to be like the notes that make up chords, right?
Right.
So, like language, to be able to communicate, we must become familiar with how words are formed and what they sound like. So we're going to use the following approach to become familiar with the notes that make up the chords in the 2-5-1 progression.
Okay.
So that way you're comfortable with all of the notes in those chords. So the first pattern we're going to work with is just the root, just kind of like how I played right now. We're only going to be playing the roots of each chord. Then we're going to play so why don't we do that? Let me do that again for you, and then you can try it out. Here.
Okay.
We'll let the progression go once, and then we'll jump in after.
Got it.
So why don't you give that a try? Let the progression go through one time, and then play through the progression twice.
Got it. Softer tongue, right? From what I'm noticing.
Yeah. So yeah, good ear. We're gonna use a do instead of a ta.
Okay. Gotcha.
Good. Very nice. So you can hear how each root note leads into the next chord, right? So that's the function of this progression. Okay, so the next pattern we're going to talk about are called guide tones. So guide tones are typically the 3rd and 7th scale degree of each chord. And these are the most important notes of a chord because the 3rd tells us the tonality, whether it's major, minor, or a dominant chord. Well, the 7th tells us whether it's a dominant chord or not. And guide tones harmonically push you towards the next chord. Okay, so let me play them for you. We're going to use a metronome set at 150.
Okay.
And then you can play it after me. Here we go. Alright.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so now I'm going to try it with the track, and then you can do the same thing.
Okay.
We'll let the progression go through once, and then we'll try it.
Got it.
Alright, so go through that twice for me. Give it a try.
Okay.
Good. So now you're becoming more familiar with more of the notes that make up these chords. The next series of notes are scale notes from the first scale degree to the fifth scale degree. And if you noticed, I added some slurs to these to pairs of these notes because this is more or less the bebop articulation that we like to use. We tend not to really use like a dotted eighth followed by a 16th because that's not the rhythm we're going for. That would sound like this. And you'll hear that a lot from maybe like middle school bands or beginning
Mm.
jazz bands. So we want to keep everything nice and legato, but we want to tongue the downbeat and we want to tongue the upbeat from the downbeat.
Okay.
Sounds like this. Why don't we lower our metronome to, we'll do 105. Okay, so why don't you try that at 105? And
Okay.
here we go. Nice, very good. So what you want to do is practice it until you can get it up to a comfortable speed and use a backing track. The backing track that we're using is 150. That might
Okay.
be a little fast, but we can give it a shot.
Sure.
So
Okay.
give that a try at 150, and then we can try with the track.
Okay. Could I try it again?
Yeah, yeah, go for it. Nice. Good. Okay, so let's try with the track and see what happens. Now, if you notice, pairing these notes, it gives it sort of like a swing feel, without playing, the right.
Right.
So let's try with the track. We'll let the progression go through once, and then we'll jump in.
Okay.
And then, like you mentioned, the tongue is a little softer, so think more do instead of ta. Do, do,
Okay.
do. Okay, so try with the track.
Got it.
Very nice. Yeah. So, so these notes, you can kind of consider them to be kind of like ingredients in something you're gonna make. It's kind of like making scrambled eggs. You can just have it plain, or you can add salt, you can add pepper, you can add tomatoes, onions.
That's
So
spice.
these, yeah, exactly. Make it, for how you wanna eat it. So these notes give you those options when you improvise over these chords. These are some options that you can use to improvise. The last set of melodic patterns we're going to talk about is the arpeggio of the chord. So these are 4-note chords instead of 3-note chords. We have that 7.
Okay.
And these arpeggios have a voice leading. Voice leading is melodically approaching to the closest note of the next chord. So
Okay.
the way you spell a D half diminished 7 is D F A flat C D, and the way you spell a G dominant 7 is G B D F. So coming from the descending from the arpeggio on the D half diminished 7, we arrive at an F, as you can see, right? So our next chord is G. So I'm 7. So what would be the closest note to that F? It would be a G.
Would be the G.
Right. Our E flat isn't a good option because it's not part of this chord. So we'd go with the G. And then conversely, from G to C, we arrive at a B, and our next closest note is a C. We could go to a G, but the C is much closer. And that's what
Okay.
gives us a smoother voice leading.
So that's the guide tones, right? That's
Yeah, actually.
or is that something else?
Well, you notice that they were the guide tones because if you look at
Yeah.
pattern B, for the D, our guide tones are F and C, and then for the
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what helps you go propel to the next chord.
Does it? I have a question. By any chance, does that correlate to for example, like the third of D, of a D
The third
chord
F,
here? Yeah, that's the F, right? And so we said here that the guide tones are typically the thirds of the scale
third
degree.
and the 7th, yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. I just wanted to clear that up. Sorry.
Because they help you, they guide you to the next chord. That's why they're.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So let's play them slower at 60.
Okay.
And then we'll try faster.
Okay.
So, all right, so try it at 60.
60.
Nice, yeah, good. And I actually put it at 16th notes. So you did too. Okay, good. So that means we might be ready for 150, you know, but if we're not ready for 150, you can work towards it.
Okay.
So, try it at 150. I kind of messed up too.
I'll try it. Okay.
Very nice. Those pesky accidentals, right? So let me try it with the track, and then you can try it here.
Okay.
Alright, give it a shot.
Okay.
Nice, very good. Nice job, Miguel. Okay, so now that we're familiar with these melodic patterns, this is the approach I want you to take when you practice them. So you're gonna play them one measure at a time, and then I want you to sing them one measure at a time.
Okay.
So let's try that for the first one really quick, and
Okay.
we'll just use the med at 150. Okay, so here's the first measure of pattern A. Okay, and then I'm gonna sing it. Da da. Okay, so give that a shot.
Da da.
Good, nice job. Here's measure 2.
Do do.
You can
A
go
little
knock
too
the
high.
lower. So knock the lower.
Do do.
Now let's put both of those together. Do, 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 do.
Do, 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 do.
Nice. And then the last two. Do, do, do.
Da, da, da.
Nice. Very good. You have a nice pitch. You know, and if you know solfege, that would even be even better. So it'd be re, re, sol, sol, do, do, do. Re, re, sol, sol, do, do, do. You want to try it on solfege?
Yes. Re, re, so, so, do, do, do.
Very nice. Good, good, good. So that's actually feeding into your ear training, right? So you're gonna be able to audiate this progression, so that when you hear it and you have to improvise, you're audiating it, and then if you practice all of these melodic patterns, you'll have those under your fingers, so you'll be able to use this vocabulary when you want to say something when you're improvising. You see how that makes sense?
Yeah, it all starts to mash up together.
Nice. Okay, so this is the practice approach I want you to take with this. Now we're going to be talking about some rhythmic patterns.
Okay.
So would you agree that in English, that English speakers have a specific accent depending on where they learn how to speak English?
100%.
Yeah, right. Okay, so like, how do people say water in the UK?
Water.
Yeah, they don't pronounce the R's, right? What about New York?
Water.
Yeah, their T's are a lot softer, right? What about in California?
Water.
The water, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are three different ways to say the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So conversely, you know, if we compare jazz to a language, which it is, we should consider it to have a specific accent. So just like the way you say water changes from location to location, the way you play rhythms changes from genre to genre. And the native language, where the music comes from, also influences the way it's played too. The following are some rhythm patterns commonly found in bossa nova, which is a style of jazz that originated in Brazil that combines traditional American jazz and samba, which is an Afro-Brazilian style of music. So we're going to be going over these rhythm patterns, and I have some syllables that are going to help you learn how to play, how to articulate these patterns, these rhythms. Okay, so let me just go over the first one, and I'm not really going to have a pulse. I'm just going to tell you how to do it. Okay, so it's da
Okay.
do day, da do day. Can you just repeat after me? Da do day.
Da do day.
Good. Now, the D is a little softer. Da do day, da do day.
Da do day. Da
Good.
do day.
So now, if we have a pulse, we'll use maybe 105. Da do day, da do day, da do day, da do day.
Okay.
Try that at 105.
Da do day. Da do day. Da do day. Da do day.
Nice, good. Now the da, you know, when you say da, the H kind of tapers off with the air, right? Da do day, da do day, da do day. So you're gonna do the same thing when you play. So let me play it for you. And we're just gonna be using the melodic pattern from A from the melodic patterns. So we're just gonna be playing the roots of each chord. So try that at 105.
Yeah.
Good. Now, if you notice when you say it, it sounds a little different than how you played it, right? Because when we say da do de, da do de, there's a little separation between the da and the do. So da do de, da do de. So can you say it first and then play it?
Da do de.
Yeah, better. Good.
Okay, got it.
Nice. Okay, so that's the first rhythm pattern. Okay, so the second one is a little different. That's da do de de, da do de de, da do de da de. There's a little syncopation there at the end. Da do de da de.
Okay.
So just try saying it. Yeah.
Da do dit day, da do dit day, da do dit da day.
Yeah, nice. Now on the da, don't stop it with your throat. Da do de de. So instead of da do de de, da do de de, da do.
Let it ring.
Yeah. Taper
da do dit day,
Good.
da do dit day, da do dit day, da do dit that day.
Da do de da de.
Da do dit da day.
Yeah, nice. Let's try it with the man. Alright, try it out.
Okay.
Very nice. Now, you can taper off on the day because you know how when we say day, we don't hold on to the Y, right? We don't go day. We just say day, and then it just tapers off. So you can do the same thing whenever you see the day. Let's go over the third one, letter C. So that's do 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 dit dit ba do 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 dit dit ba do 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 dit dit day. Now, if you notice, there's two tied eighth notes, and which make a quarter note, right? But instead of holding on to that quarter note, this accent makes it short. So that's why we say dit. And then if you notice this eighth note at the end here leads into the downbeat of the next measure, right? Ba-do. Ba-do.
Okay.
Dit, dit, ba-do, do, do, dit, dit, day. And then we have some syncopation there at the end. So do, 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 dit, dit, day. Yeah,
okay.
And you can drop at the end. So can you just try saying it?
Yeah. Do, 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 dit, dit, ba-do, do, do, dit, dit. Day.
Yeah, you notice how these syllables they help you keep a pulse and help you articulate, right? Just by saying them. So let me try with the Met, and then you can do it after me. All right.
Okay, I'll try it.
Taper.
Sorry.
Yeah.
At the taper.
And I think you're audiating, right? It helps to say it first.
Yeah, definitely.
I noticed that you changed what you did from measure 1 to measure 2 because you were audiating it. So that's why we say it first, so that you're audiating it while you play it. Okay, so let's go over the last one, letter D.
Okay.
Okay, now this one has some syncopation leading into the next chord. So that's da, ba do di da, ba do di da, ba do di day. Do that again. Da, ba do di da, ba do di da, ba do di day. So we have 3 consecutive eighth notes, and the last one's a little shorter than the rest of them. And then the ba leads into the downbeat. So those bas help you lead into downbeats, right? Da, ba do di da. All right, go ahead.
Right. Da ba do di da, ba do di da, ba do di day.
Nice. All right, let's play.
taper at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, you can take that thing. Yeah, nice. And you see
Thank
that
you.
it's so different from traditional articulation, right? So
Totally, yeah.
if we were to play it regular, right, it's completely different. So these syllables really help to help you understand how to play these. So we want to use the similar approach to the melodic patterns in terms of practicing it. So you sing each pattern just like how we did. And then you're going to do it with the met once you figured out the syllables, and then sing it with the track. So we're going to do that right now, and then play it with the track. So
Okay.
let's just take the first one. We're gonna sing. I'm gonna sing it first, and then I'm gonna play it, and then you're gonna do the same thing, and then you can do the rest by yourself in
Okay.
practice. So here we go. We'll let the progression go one time and then I'll sing it. One, two, here we go. Da today, da today, da today, da today. Alright, so go ahead and you're gonna let the progression go once, sing it twice, and then play it twice. We're just gonna do
Okay.
alternate.
Sing it twice, you said, and play it twice.
Yeah.
Okay. Dot do day, 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 dot do day. Song.
Good. Yeah, you got it. You
Sorry.
got it. Yeah. So just leave some daylight between beat three and beat one
Okay.
of the next. Yeah. But you
Okay.
got it. You got it. Okay. So yeah, just apply the same method to the rest of them, and this is gonna give you some rhythmic variation when you want to improvise, and you can mix and match melodic patterns and rhythmic patterns. So, I want to talk to you a little bit about the chart we're going to be learning called Blue Bossa. It
Okay.
was written by a jazz trumpeter and singer and composer named Kenny Dorham around 1963, and it's a blend of hard bop and bossa nova. The tune was possibly influenced by Dorham's visit to the Rio de Janeiro Jazz Festival in 1961, and it has since been recorded numerous times by many different artists. So it's now a jazz standard, and a lot of jazz musicians know it really
Okay.
well. And that's the tune you heard in the beginning.
Okay.
Um, Let me talk to you a little bit about the harmonic analysis of this tune. So it's in C harmonic minor, the scale we've been talking about, and it actually contains three 2-5-1 progressions. The first one can be found in the first four measures. The F minor 7 and B flat 7 can be considered to be the 2-5 of E flat major. And E flat major is the relative major of C harmonic minor, right? So there's our first 2-5. Um, our second 2-5-1 is in the next four measures. So it's the 2-5-1 of C minor, the one we've been studying so far: D minor 7, G7, and C minor 7. And the last 2-5-1 is in the next four measures, but this 2-5-1 is in the key of D flat. So it pulled you into a new key, like how I was talking to you about how the 2-5-1 functions that way. And then the last four are a turnaround back to the head. So the last four measures are the 2-5-1 of C harmonic minor, and they take you back to the beginning. So there's three different keys that we're working with here. So E flat major, C minor, and D flat major. So you can apply, the melodic patterns that we took from C minor and apply them to E flat major, and then apply them to D flat major as well. So the approach you want to take to learning a tune into improvising is you want to know the melody really, really well. So in order to do that, you have to listen to it over and over. And one of the techniques that I like to use is singing it because it really helps me internalize it. So what I'll do is I'll play the entire thing for you, and then we're gonna go through it phrase by phrase. Okay, so here we go. Alright, so that's our basic melody, and then he takes it up the octave after that. If you notice, I didn't exactly play it the way it's written, right? And that's very common, especially in something called fake books. And a fake book is just a collection of these tunes that have been written down because traditionally these tunes were learned by ear. They were, passed down or heard on records, or
Okay.
you go to like the bar and listen to somebody play it, and you hear it so many times you start memorizing it. But this is just a simple notation of it. But you can, be creative with the embellishments that you want to take with the tune. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over the first phrase, playing it first, and then I'm gonna sing it, and then you're gonna do the same thing. Right? So, so that's ba 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 da 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 ba 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 ba.
Okay. A flat. Dun dun da 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 dun 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 dun
Nice,
dun.
good. Bum ba da 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 bum bum ba dum. Yeah, nice.
Bum. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
go for it. Sorry.
Bum ba da dum bum 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 bum.
Dee 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 da. Bum ba da dee dee da.
Bum ba da dum bum 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 ba da da dum.
Um, ba do day, ba do day, ba da.
Da do day ba da do day da da.
Yeah,
I'm
and
trying to like copy your
yeah,
syllables.
very nice, good. So actually, jazz musicians, they're trying to emulate singers. So when we play, the style of jazz, it's kind of like you're trying to sing through your instrument. So that's another way singing helps. So now we're gonna do pretty much the same thing, but I'm gonna do the first half, play the first half, and then sing the first half, and then you're gonna do the same. Ba ba da da da, ba ba three down, three da 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 da, bum bum three down.
Okay. dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, nice. Very good. Very good singer, Miguel. So,
Thank you.
even when we sing choral music, it's very refined, I guess you could say. And then when we sing jazz, it's not that it's less refined, it's just more laid back, right? More
Mm.
melodic. So keep that in mind also when you're singing and then when you're playing it too. Um, Okay, let's do the last two phrases.
Da uh da da da. Sorry, can I?
Yeah.
Da da na na da ba ba na 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 na. Da na 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 na.
Nice. So then what we would do is play the whole thing and then sing the whole thing, and then by then you should have a rough idea of what the melody is, so that when you go back to the head and you play through those chords, you have the melody in your head. And one of the things that you can do besides taking the melodic and rhythmic patterns that we've taken is you can quote phrases of the melody and just embellish them in some way when you're improvising. Or something like that. So that's one of the things that you can do if you have the melody really ingrained in your audiation. So
Okay.
now that you have the melody, we can apply the melodic patterns and the rhythmic patterns that we were learning into a progression. So the approach that you want to take is you want to be able to play the melody with the backing track by memory. You want to be able to sing it by memory, and then you can go through each melodic pattern and pair it with a rhythmic pattern and play it with a backing track. And so once you do that for all of them, you can mix and match them. You can get creative, use it to be expressive, these are phrases after all, so if you have something to say, you can say a phrase. You make mistakes because that's the best way to learn. If you're making mistakes, that means that you're trying something, and it's better to have failed at something to not have tried at all, right? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take the first melodic pattern and apply it to the first rhythmic pattern. And I've chosen a backing track that's a lot slower, so that we can practice it. So let's give it a listen really quick. So it's a lot slower. Okay, so let me play the first melodic. Now I'm gonna apply the pattern. Okay, so
Okay.
go ahead and do the same thing.
Okay. Let progression pass.
Yeah. Good. Nice. So you see how the melodic pattern and the rhythmic pattern, it pairs really well with the backing track, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you can apply the first melodic pattern to the second rhythm pattern, and so forth, and then you can take melodic pattern B and pair it with another rhythmic pattern and go from there. So this should give you just a really basic rundown of how to improvise over a chord progression. Because if you're trying to improvise over a song, the song is going to be built off different chord progressions. So you learned a really basic and widely used chord progression called the 251, and you learned the function of the different functions of the 251. You learned the different notes that make up the chords within the 251. You we went over some melodic patterns with those notes, and then we went over some rhythm patterns and the syllables that help you articulate the way you would want to articulate in this style. And then we went over Bluebasa. You learn a little bit about the history of Bluebasa, and then we went and we tried memorizing the melody, and then we applied the melodic patterns and the rhythmic patterns to create some sort of improvisation. Do you have any questions about anything?
No, I think I'm good.
Perfect. So what I want you to do is just go over these melodic patterns and rhythmic patterns by themselves, and then put them together, and then use the approach we used to memorize the melody, and see if you can have it memorized by our next lesson. Sounds good?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, Miguel. We'll have a good one.
All right. Thank you.